back to New Rockstars. I'm Jessica Clemons, and this is our trailer breakdown of Jurassic World Rebirth, starring Scarlett Johansson, Jonathan Bailey, Mahershala Ali. This trailer was released yesterday morning, and they've been doing pre-press before the trailer even came out about what to expect, the plot of the movie, and everything in between. So let's get into this trailer scene by scene to find those missed details and those little itty bitty little Easter eggs and check out this monster of a dinosaur. It's not even a dinosaur, this is a mutant. It's a monster, it's an alien, something else, and I don't like the way it looks. But first, make sure to check out nerdride.shop where you can find the latest and greatest in New Rockstars merch. We got so many different options over there. Go check it out. You can get the I just want to go home shirt from Skeleton Crew that I love wearing. It's very nice, fits well, I like it. This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes launching your own website a breeze. Okay, let's get into it. We begin in this museum and it's closing down. This is actually filmed at UK's University of Greenwich, though according to set photos, this is the Natural History Museum of North America in New York that have all types of dinosaur artifacts that are being shipped out. But also, we see a very familiar banner above the T-Rex. This shot, in comparison to the other time we see the banners, are actually pretty sad side by side. Also, I like that they just remade the banner from the original movie as though it was like an artifact that they wanted to duplicate after it was destroyed in Jurassic World. I guess they brought it back. We're watching the vibrant life of the T-Rex come to an abrupt halt in this trailer with the banner falling, not because of a dinosaur running rampant, but because we've lost interest. In what world are we losing interest in dinosaurs? Well, according to the synopsis, 5 years after the events of Jurassic World Dominion, we've lost interest. Not only have we lost interest, but the planet's ecology has proven largely inhospitable to dinosaurs. Those remaining exist in isolated equatorial environments with climates resembling the one in which they once thrived. We'll see this later in the tropical island in the trailer, and we'll get into it then, but it's important to know that this is also only 5 years after Dominion. 5 years after Dominion, we said, to hell with it. We don't give a f about these dinosaurs. The first person we see in the trailer is Zora Bennett, played by Scarlett Johansson, who is a skilled covert operations expert, which yes, does feel a lot like Black Widow, and I don't care. She's excellent in this environment, doing stunts and just kicking butt. She'll be leading the expedition and recovery mission that Jonathan Bailey's Dr. Loomis knows nothing about. Jonathan Bailey is playing a paleontologist, Dr. Loomis, who was compared to Richard Dreyfuss from Jaws in the Vanity Fair article. He also notes how he's a little too fascinated by the dinosaurs. His strengths are in comparison, enthusiasm, and hunger for the natural world. And you always gotta have this kind of guy in your big beast movies. It feels a lot like Dr. Serizawa from Gareth Edwards' 2014 Godzilla. Bailey also hinted that his paleontologist, Dr. Henry Loomis, has a history with Sam Neill's character. I don't think it's the boy from the first movie. Eric does think it's the little other boy that just doesn't understand dinosaurs, and it could be. I think it's one of Laura Dern's children, but watch it just be like a student. Rupert Friend is the big pharma representative, Martin Krebs, whose company discovers a way to cure heart disease per the very impressive deep dive with the Vanity Fair article. Though, as we learned through said clip, they need the DNA from 3 largest dinosaurs on land, sea, and air, which is, yes, very dramatic. We don't know if this company is some form of InGen, Biosyn, Manticorp, or the Maserati Global Corporation, though we do know the new island they're going to might have been InGen's first facility experimenting on dinosaurs. We see this tail whip by Dr. Loomis, then the full dinosaur, the Titanosaurus. Then another we see immediately. Though it's small, I can't really make it out, but we do know we're gonna see the Quetzalcoatlus later. I just don't know if this is it yet, but I'm sure it probably is. Back in the museum, we get a different angle and a tiny skeleton in the back near Bennett and Krebs. It's so small, and I think it's just a little raptor. The trailer then takes us to a little tropical location where we see a seaplane coming in. This location was one of the first captured and posted online. It's shot in Thailand, but it's supposed to be Suriname, South America, where folks have speculated some of the story will be taking place prior to the trailer even coming out. They're playing games, drinking Parbo, which is a Surinamese beer. This is where we find Duncan Kincaid, who at this point in his life has chosen to live off the grid, but he's somebody who has been a really good friend to Zora and is always willing to help out when she needs something handled covertly. He's the logistics expert who can gain access to dangerous zones, usually war-torn areas. Behind Kincaid, you can see this giant freaking teeth, these jaws. This was revealed in set photos at the bar. It's a megalodon jaw. It's the megalodon jaw. So I guess there's megalodons killed. Also, Kincaid is rocking a very vibrant pink and green tropical shirt, which is, yes, very reminiscent of Dennis Nedry's look in the first Jurassic Park movie. The internet has already acknowledged that since they're heading towards Barbados, they're going towards the Caribbean Sea east of Costa Rica, and Isla Nublar, home of the Jurassic Park incident, was in the North Pacific Ocean 120 miles west of Costa Rica. And the 5 deaths, the 5 islands 200 miles southwest of Costa Rica, it's more featured in the novels and games, but still our 2 places featured or owned by InGen are nowhere near this new island. This just gives more reason to the theory the facility might be the first one where everything just went wrong and they up and went and dipped west. We see the 10,000 volt sign, which immediately takes me back to the same sign in the original movie.
Ah! not funny.
Then we see one of Krebs' men, and I believe it's Ed Skrein, who played Ajax in Deadpool. We see Krebs' men pulling out these weird weapons. This doesn't look like a normal gun, but maybe a tranquilizer. On the side of the weapons, it says something like CT3 ES-XT 8000. This might be a new weapon Krebs' men made for the expedition. We're at the labs, and we see in the back it says laboratory and what looks like a fading engine logo. Go figure. And I can't tell whether it says 00 or 03. In the lab, we see dinosaurs in orange cryo chambers, and it really looks like the orange, yellow, amber look for the Jurassic Park mosquito, but in the original movie, the dino DNA samples that Nidri steals is in a blue cryo chamber. So I'm wondering if they were like, look at that yellow chamber, it ain't holding up, let's get the blue ones next time. Maybe, perhaps, I just wanted to show that there's two different colors for cryo chambers, for probably a reason. Don't shoot the messenger, but if your website only works if I log in on my laptop using some weird browser that hasn't had an update in 6 years, then your website doesn't really work at all. Lucky for you, making a website is easier than ever thanks to Squarespace. Squarespace is an all-in-one tool that gives you everything you need to make a website that looks good and does whatever you need it to do. Squarespace's design intelligence tool makes it so easy to get your website looking just right. It combines 2 decades of industry-leading design expertise with cutting-edge AI technology. And with just a few clicks, Squarespace can help you untangle digital payment platforms, making it easy to start receiving payments right away, using popular payment methods like Apple Pay, ACH Direct Debit, Klarna, and more. Every Squarespace website is optimized to be indexed with meta descriptions and auto-generated sitemap and more, so you show up more often to more people in global search engine results. Head to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/newrockstars to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. The dinosaur in the chamber is a velociraptor that looks like the velociraptors you'd see in the OG Jurassic Park, but this one has 2 heads and also is very matured. It's much bigger in size than you would expect. So this one's a mutant freak, and I'm sorry, I've been watching too much X-Men. Though they did mention in the Vanity Fair article, these are the dinosaurs that didn't work. There's some mutations in there. They're all based on real dinosaur research, but they look a little different. Zora then tells us the island was a research facility for the original Jurassic Park, which feels a little confusing with the lore, but more reason to believe that InGen could have just dipped on this island and just made a new shop out west in the other island. Loomis then stares into this chamber with the dino in it that looks like it hasn't fully developed, and by the canisters left around, there's been multiple underdeveloped creatures. Then in the tall grass, we see Kincaid with Bashir Sylvain, who's credited in the YouTube description as one of Zora and Krebs' crew. Then we get this scene.
Do we have to get a sample from an egg?
I suppose we could try and get it from the parent, but they're a flying carnivore the size of an F-16.
He's referencing the Quetzalcoatlus, which we'll see later and how it's the size of an F-16. And we've seen the less mutated giant flying creature in Jurassic World Dominion taking down Kayla's plane. Now, y'all have already told me, y'all already alerted me, they're technically not carnivorous and also bigger than an F-16. One, he's just giving reference point to this doofus that wouldn't understand what he's talking about. Also, this could be a different one on this island. Remember, these are mutated ones, or just different ones in general. We'll get a better look at it in a minute and we can compare them. In these ancient ruins on the island, we see some different set pieces. I'm not trying to get into it too deep because this is just an island with a lab, but it's very Kong looking, very Indiana Jones, which Gareth Edwards is a fan of. But if I see one little girl that can speak to dinosaurs. They leaked set photos of the ruins last summer. Also in the Vanity Fair article, they mentioned they made the setting an Inca-style old temple that had been abandoned hundreds of thousands of years ago. In the trailer, you can see what could be the Kukulkan from Mayan mythology, or the Quetzalcoatl from Aztec mythology, which was in Godzilla King of the Monsters, which wasn't Gareth Edwards' work, but you know, he began that story. Loomis has a syringe filled with fluid. I assume he extracted this from the egg. This scene is very similar to the Indiana Jones Raiders of the Lost Ark when he takes the golden idol. They're also the same size, the egg and the idol. Additionally, Frank Marshall, who's the EP on this movie, also produced all 5 Indiana Jones movies, so it's a full circle moment. In the article, Gareth mentions how this movie incorporates or just pulls inspiration from Indiana Jones, Jaws, and captures the awe and wonder of the original Jurassic Park, which it absolutely does. This is very Indiana Jones. Any scene with the boat in the water and the giant creatures is giving a lot of Jaws. And of course, the fear of just being swallowed alive at all moments is Jurassic Park. Then we see the giant monster, and it's different than the one we've seen in Dominion, like I mentioned earlier, slightly mutated, a little bit smaller, also with the blue tones. Kincaid is then getting the attention of the dinosaur, and it's just like the original movie with Alan throwing the flare into the bushes, though these red flare moments always catch the attention of the T-Rex. And they note here the dinosaurs were too dangerous for the original park. They then give us a shot of the raptor feet, just like the 1993 movie, though these toesies are very gray or white, a little mutated freak raptor. Then we see the giant foot of the monster creature, and no one heard it coming up until now. This giant mutant we'll see better later in the trailer, and Gareth Edwards, I did love the scale of the 2014 Godzilla, but this thing is absolutely massive. It is, I don't understand how they created it. Then we see the family that's stranded on the island up close, but then we see see Kincaid run with the flare, and Claire, Bryce Dallas Howard's character, did the same thing in Jurassic World. We cut back to the alien-looking monster, and it's giving so much xenomorph. It's so ugly. They said they drew inspiration from the Star Wars Rancor, the alien xenomorph, of course, and of course an old-fashioned T-Rex. It's such a beast, not even a dinosaur. I don't know what to call it other than a mutant freak. Then we see this car break through the gates, and if you look closely, you can see the red and yellow accents like the car in the original Jurassic Park. We then see this Rex with its beautiful stripes that I'll come back to in a little bit because it's connected to the scene I think later with the Dilophosaurus. Underground, they're now running from probably that mutant creature, and this scene is just really giving Alien when Sigourney Weaver's running with the child. Then we see the Dilophosaurus, the venom-spitting flesh monster from the first movie. It looks closer to the one in Dominion, but nevertheless resembles the same color to the original one, just not the same pattern. According to Chris Pugh on X, in the first novel, Grant saw a couple of Dilophosauruses performing a mating ritual when they escaped the T-Rex, and it looks like they could be doing that similar scene here, and based on the mound behind Luna, looks similar to the T-Rex in the above scene that I was talking about. So it's connected in one big chunk, and all of this is connected to a river raft scene. But before I get into that river raft scene, right between it, you see the mutant monster again, and this is probably a flashback with D-Rex as the name that some people are giving it. The equipment doesn't look as mangled as it does today, so I think the scene with someone getting locked in the chamber was from back in the day. It's probably just showing how dangerous these animals are. Then we see the river scene. Now, the Isla Nublar River, it appears in the first novel. The tour boats were supposed to be attached to these tracks for the Jungle River Cruise, which was a riverboat ride. Screenwriter David Koepp, who adapted Michael Christian's 1990 novel of the first movie, has gone back and pulled this scene to use. Bear with me for a minute, but it's very important. In the Vanity Fair article, Marshall has revealed that its sequence in which Dr. Grant and the two children who are not in this movie attempt to drift through a lagoon in a rubber raft without waking a slumbering T-Rex, which I mentioned earlier. I think it's sleeping on that mound. They don't succeed and end up paddling for their lives. The Tyrannosaur was now chest deep in the water, but it could hold its big head above the surface, Christian wrote. Then Grant realized the animal wasn't swimming, it was walking, because moments later, only the very top of its head, the eyes and nostrils, protruded above the surface. By then, it looked like a crocodile, and it swam like a crocodile, swinging its big tail back and forth so the water churned behind it. Now that is fear. That is fear, and that poor woman Luna is about to go through it. Then we get the scene of the three Spinosauruses and the Mosasaurus, which we haven't seen since Jurassic Park 3. We see the Spinosauruses jump out of the water like we saw the Mosasaurus do in the first Jurassic World movie at the show, though we get a better look at the Spinosaurus later, and it looks bad. Not like by effects, but bad in comparison to the other one, which makes sense because these little dinos are a little different. Also, their pattern is so fun. It's like the tiger's T-Rex stripes. I love this color scheme. The end then gives us this Jaws action scene, and we get a little tip of the Jurassic Park score, the new colorful tropical design reflecting where we're at, and a reminder it drops in July. And as a reminder, the original Jurassic Park co-writer David Koepp wrote the film script with longtime series producers Frank Marshall and Patrick Crowley, both returning to produce alongside the 1993 film director Steven Spielberg, who will executive produce the project with Dennis L. Stewart and Jim Spencer. So there's a lot of nostalgia, not only in front of the camera, not only in the trailer, but also behind the camera, because all these people are returning. Jurassic World Rebirth is scheduled to be released in the United States on July 2nd, 2025, the same month as Superman and Fantastic Four, so you can just go all out on your back childhood days. If you want nostalgia, you got 3 weeks in July to experience it. Comment down below your thoughts on the trailer. Are you gonna see it? Are you hyped for dinosaurs? Follow me at Lulu_Clemons, subscribe to all 3 channels in the new Rockstars network for breakdowns, news coverage, and everything you love. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys later.